Okay, delighted to be joined by Dublin Ladies football manager Mick Bohan ahead of the All-Ireland final against Meath this weekend. Mick, plenty of excitement around the camp this week. It's All-Ireland final week.
Yeah, fantastic. We're obviously thrilled to be involved in another one, and look, the excitement doesn't dissipate, and obviously the fact it's new opponents probably adds a little bit to the occasion, because we've had a lot more work to do on Meath, because essentially they were the unknown.
How is preparation going for the game so far?
Really good, yeah, delighted. We'd obviously a tough enough run into the last game with a couple of injuries, but hopefully now things are clearing up a little bit, and hopefully we'll go in with a clean bill of health.
You mentioned those injuries, and that was one thing that maybe you might be very happy with coming out of the game against Mayo. The fact that you were without three key players for the start of that game, but yet you're able to replace those players. And I guess the strength of your panel has been a huge positive for yourself, especially over the past couple of years.
It has, and the same thing happened in the National League this year. Earlier on, we were missing the likes of Sinead, Lindsay, Niamh McAvoy, Sinead Goldrick. Carla Rose carrying calf injuries at that stage. So, we were always intending to give game time to squad members, but it certainly forces your hand, and then players probably get more game time than expected. In the short term it's not great, even though it worked out at the time, but in the long term you obviously develop players quicker.
From your own point of view, it's been a very strange year, I guess, because of COVID and obviously not having games earlier on this season, so quite a compact season in a lot of ways. How do you assess your season overall heading into the All-Ireland final?
I've thoroughly enjoyed this season, so much more different to last year. The condensed season I think is fantastic. Obviously I do think you're going to pick up more injuries, even though this year was probably a little bit different in that we didn't have access to gyms in the earlier parts of the year, and obviously from a point of view of injury prevention that's so important, but from the point of view of games on top of games, less training, more games, I think it's certainly the way to go for players. So that has helped. I also think it's helped the quality of football, because the more games you get, the more opportunities you get to try things, and we've been really happy with the group over the course of the summer.
We spoke after the All-Ireland, the semi-final against Mayo, and we looked ahead to the game the day after between Cork and Meath, and you were very positive about the potential challenge that Meath might face against Cork. Obviously we saw the game itself then, and Meath ended up winning it, and very impressive as well. What sort of challenge can you expect from them? You're obviously very impressed by Meath this season.
They have, yeah. They're very systematic. I mean, we've spent quite a few hours even from the weekend just watching the way they play, and they play a kind of a zone defence, but it's the most systematic zone defence that I've seen. So somebody's done a lot of good work with them, and then they attack en masse, and then they retreat when they lose possession. So look, at the end of the day, that's our challenge, to try and break it down, but at the same time we're very proud of the way we play, and we certainly feel we have our own standards to realise in any different game, so regardless of the opponents, that would be very much in our mind.
And finally, I mentioned to Niamh as well earlier on, we were speaking about the fact that there'd be crowds obviously at the All-Ireland final, and that's been a change maybe from your first game earlier on in the year to the All-Ireland final, the fact that there'd be big crowds in Croke Park for the game. How much has that been a benefit to you and a positive to you over the past few games, getting more and more your friends and your family and supporters into grounds cheering you on? And I'm sure you're looking for the same again on All-Ireland final day.
Yeah, well look, this one is a standalone, or at least obviously the intermediate final and the senior final are on, but a standalone as in ladies football. For the last game, obviously the lads were, that was a fixture in itself, and then whatever, after talks a couple of days later, the ladies game was put in the back of it, but access to tickets was a problem for families, so from that point of view, that brings its own stress for the player. So this situation where 40,000 people are allowed in, and just for the teams that are involved, that obviously takes that away, but we're delighted to be going back playing in front of good crowds, and I can only imagine it's going to be a sellout. It'll probably be the first time in the history of the game that the men's hurling, ladies football and men's football and camogie will all probably be sellouts this year.